Hello and welcome. I'm Valerio Baselli and today I'm joined by Matt Peron. He's Director of Research at Janus Henderson Investors. Matt, hi, and thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Valerio.
So China has offered its congratulations to United States President-elect Joe Biden almost a week after his victory, quite late if compared to other major countries. Chinese authorities seem very cautious at this stage. Is this something that surprises you, or this is just a normal behavior in a moment when relationships between the two countries are very tense and the outgoing Trump administration is still in power?
Yes, I think that's the key point there, Valerio. I think the balance that you mentioned is very important in this very tense diplomatic situation. They don't want to take a situation where relationships are quite strained at the moment and make them worse. So I think they are just taking a very cautious approach. I wouldn't read too much into that as being a negative signal for how they're going to work with the Biden administration. We think they'll have, on the most part, some constructive discussions with the Biden administration, as there's much for both administrations and countries to collaborate on.
How the trade war between the US and China will evolve under Biden's administration, in your view, and how it would affect the market in the future, especially the tech sector?
Yes, I think that the trade tensions that you reference will probably diminish some. I don't think they'll completely go away, but I think they will be reduced. There'll be lower tensions between the two countries. I think that's because the two countries really do need each other. I think both administrations, new administration in the case of the US, understand that free trade benefits all for the most part. I think there were some lessons learned about China that they will take into account. So I don't think we'll go back to completely unfettered trade, but I think both administrations realize they need each other, and they'll be much more open and a much more constructive stance while working on some issues. But you mentioned the tech sector, and I think that that's very important for both countries. And so they'll work something out, knowing that the supply chain from an American standpoint will need to be diversified. So there'll be less reliance on China. But they have much to fill in that gap. They have much to work on. They both have put green priorities and green energy and green technology at the top of their priority queue. So I think both countries will see opportunity to collaborate, hopefully, in that dimension as well. So there'll be some puts and takes, but I think much more positive than in the past administration.
And as you know, U.S. stocks rallied sharply after Biden was named the president-elect and were propelled even higher by promising news on effective coronavirus vaccine. But what about now? On one hand, we saw that the forecasted blue wave wasn't there. And on the other hand, valuations look very high still. So given this scenario, what is your outlook for U.S. equities?
Yeah, I think the blue wave didn't happen, as you mentioned. And in fact, I think that was probably the best outcome from a market standpoint for the markets to realize that, okay, with more gridlock in Washington, there'll probably be less policy uncertainty. So the markets don't like uncertainty. So with policy certainty, which is more down the middle, both extreme ends will probably be taken out. We'll have a much more stable policy backdrop, and the markets really like that. So that was good. But coming to your point about the good news on the vaccine, as well as a reasonable and market positive election outcome, we are still constructive on equities for the longer term. And I'll make 2 points on that. The first is that looking at current valuations, yes, it looks high, but we now have more confidence in 2021 and 2022 earnings, and the market's already looking to that and discounting that. We expect that earnings will probably exceed 2019's level, maybe even into 2021. So the market is already there. So based on that level and the level of interest rates, it's not so bad. I think the second, the vaccine, as you mentioned, is very important in that it improves confidence in that earnings level. So taken together, the market got a really powerful double dose of, okay, 2021, we know what it looks like, and we can start to price that in fully, and I think that's what happened.
Matt, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, Valerio.
For Morningstar, Valerio Baselli. Thanks for watching.